So this has come up numerous times, and it's a great opportunity to set the record straight on how much money is coming to Ontario. And the facts are the facts. In 2005, we transferred $11.2 billion to the Ontario government. That was the Liberals. In 2007, we transferred $13.9 billion. That's a raise of almost 30%, $2.7 billion. That's a lot of money. That is a huge amount of money. We are directing it as best we can. The province obviously will take that money and spend on it what it believes its priorities are. But we have kind of rooted some things into the recruitment of the police force. We've also rooted it to the education system. And right now, over 90% of the classes in Ontario have less than 20 kids on average per class. So the class sizes are coming down. Things are improving in Ontario, yet Mr. McGuinty continuously cries about not having enough money and wants even more from us. And so we've talked to him and we've told him, you need to get your house in order. You need to reduce your corporate tax rates that are one of the highest in the country. That's one of the biggest reasons that some people are losing jobs. But luckily, because of the tax cuts that Stephen Harper's government have put in place, our unemployment rate at a country level right now is at a 33-year low. So when the gentleman talks about not having enough unemployment in insurance, we worry more about making sure that there are people working. And we've accomplished our goals on numerous occasions. So very happy to say that things are improving and we will continue to work forward.
Thank you.
That the challenge of the entire country in terms of equalization is a complex one. As a member of the federal parliament, my job, even though I'm an Ontarian, my job is to ensure fairness for all provinces and territories, and I look forward with the Liberal government to re-engaging with all of the provinces and territorial governments in this important conversation. Because I will ask everybody in this room, how many times, does anybody know how many times the Prime Minister in over 2.5 years of government has met with the provincial premiers? Once. Only once. In over 2.5 years, the Prime Minister met with the premiers of the provinces. And does anybody know how long that meeting lasted? From appetizers to dessert. It was once, and it was over dinner time. And once again, we have my colleague to my right here, again, repeating in effect what Jim Flaherty said not too long ago, that Ontario was the last place to invest. We had Peter Van Loan and Dalton McGuinty stood up for Ontario in terms of Democratic number of seats in the House of Commons, called Dalton McGuinty the small man of Confederation. We have Mr. Carnes now saying that Dalton McGuinty is crying about not getting enough money. We have him saying that, once again, you should do this, you should do that, Ontario is not competitive enough. How the arrogance, I'm sorry, but the extraordinary level of attitude in this country. We are a fantastic country, a federal government, provincial governments, and municipal governments. We have challenges ahead, in particular economic challenges, and we are only going to solve them if we stop this pointing of fingers and divisive attitude, and if we start once again to sit at the same table and engage in those all-important conversations about how we can take this country forward together. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move to Mr. Carcassole, I'd like to recognize Susan Cadiz, MP from Thornhill, and I'd like to thank her for joining us. Thank you. Mr. Carcassole.
I think we all know, we've all heard the expression, talk is cheap. And behavior, actions, speak far louder than words. In that respect, I concur with my colleague to the right. In terms of the the actions and behaviors of our current Prime Minister, I guess he's still the current Prime Minister, isn't he? For a couple of days. In terms of how often he has met with premiers from the different provinces, in terms of the efforts that he's made to engage in meaningful dialogue, yes, this is a complex country, but somehow, hopefully one of the values that we stand for is one of fairness. Now, I grew up in Ontario. I've lived most of my life here. And I knew for most of my life that Ontario was the economic engine of the country. I used to hear that, and I knew that Ontario sent to Ottawa far more money than it got back, and somehow that was okay. That was okay. I felt okay about that because my sense of fairness said the strong help the weak. Until they're able to get on their feet, we help them as best we can. And now I'm hearing that Ontario is on the verge of becoming a have-not province, and everybody's saying, well, I don't want to help you anymore because you've had it too good for all those, whatever reasons they have, and there's something fundamentally unfair about that. So the Green Party is one that stands for fairness and equity. Notwithstanding the challenges, because as we've heard, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver have unique needs, the territories have unique needs, Atlantic Canada has unique needs, and so on. But if we come together in the spirit of fairness of what we need to move the whole country forward and every citizen within it, then I'm sure we'll find that maybe Mr. McGuinty has a legitimate argument and a beef with our current government. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Push the button. Thank you, Reza, for that excellent question. This is an extremely complex question, but it's incumbent upon me to bring to everybody's attention that the unemployment insurance portion of the question that Reza asked, we need not forget it was the Liberal government previous to the sitting Conservative government that changed all the rules on unemployment, that made unemployment availability reduction from 52 weeks a year to 44 weeks a year as a maximum eligibility period. They changed the rules on qualification on the number of weeks that you have to work and so on and so forth. But without wasting all my time on all the details of that, the Liberals are responsible for the deficit on the unemployment insurance issue for Ontarians today to start with. But the Conservatives stood by while 130,000 manufacturing jobs were lost in 2007, and in 2008 we think those numbers are going to be higher. They fast-tracked a bill to take $50 billion worth of employee contributions out of the unemployment insurance program and use them to fund tax cuts for the oil companies and the banks. That's not right either. And to my Green friend, it's very easy for all of us to say we stand for fairness, but the question is, what are we going to do about fairness? The NDP is committed, first of all, not to raising taxes like many would have you believe. We're going to freeze the corporate tax level at the Martin Liberal level when they lost power to the Conservatives. And we're going to take that $50 billion that's earmarked for oil banks and corporations, and we're going to invest it in green jobs in the economy. We'll give General Motors $500 million, but to retool their plant and put people back to work, building hybrid cars that Canadians want to drive. The reality is it's only the NDP that is taking this seriously, and we're not going to raise your taxes. We're going to freeze the corporate tax levels, and we're going to use that money and reinvest it in the economy.
Thank you.